How
Hey,
are you
Brenda.
today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm good. We had such a crazy week last week with our fundraiser.
Oh my
We had
gosh.
this online fundraiser, which was a little bananas. And then I don't know, I feel like it's Wednesday already. Like, what was I doing Monday and Tuesday? I feel like I took a little bit of a
Well, you're
breather.
better than me. I thought today was Thursday. I really did.
That happens sometimes too.
So,
That definitely happens at times. Oh my goodness. Well, we wanted to do an episode today for our warrior moms. Now, I know every mom who is in our
exactly.
community listening to this podcast, and every dad, stepdad, y'all feel like warriors, and you are.
You are.
You are. There is a next level warrior mom
Yeah.
who we just wanted to acknowledge today. You want to talk a little bit about these special humans?
Yeah. Well, I categorize myself as a warrior mom for sure. Um, so warrior mom is that your child is an adult. So, we like to say in the stream that they kind of fall in their 20s. Some of our warrior moms have kids in their 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And we know there are probably some of you out there listening whose kids are 40 or 50,
Yeah.
maybe.
I know two in our
Yep.
community in the stream that have kids in their early 40s.
Right.
So,
Right. So this journey hasn't just been a couple years for you. This journey has probably been going on for a decade or longer. And, it's very different because your child, it's so funny to call them your child, but
I
that's
know.
truly what they are.
I
They
know.
are your child. They're always our children. But they usually probably aren't living with you at this point. They're living on their own, or if they are living with you, that is another thing. You may
Next
or
level.
may not support them.
Mhm.
It's kind of like a warrior mom sits on the fence of sometimes you're supporting them, sometimes you're not. Sometimes they live with you, sometimes they're not. There's so
Yeah.
many. You kind of are straddling this really weird space. Um, and it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
I know there's a lot of unknowns, especially
Yes.
as they become an adult, because like you said, sometimes they move out, they are doing okay for a while, and then things take a turn. And so you may not even hear from them for weeks or months.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a different kind of hell to live in for sure when you have a kid who you know is in trouble, not trouble like legal trouble, but physically they're not doing well. They're at risk, they're vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
they're not super healthy. And when you don't hear from them for an extended period of time, oh,
It's so
just
hard.
so much.
It's so
It's,
hard. And I know, you also kind of go into that space where you talk about legal trouble, where there have been times you think, if only they would get arrested, then I know
mm-hmm,
where they are and I
mm-hmm.
know that they're safe and I know they're not using substances and maybe
Well,
there's some support.
we
Well,
hope that newsflash
okay,
to anybody who thinks that jail is a place where they're not using. That is not always true.
not always true, but
However, usually a little safer than
yes.
on, if they're on the streets or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah.
I mean, the other part of this for the warrior moms who have kids who are unhoused or bumping
Hmm.
around between having housing, not having housing, getting evicted. I mean, how many times do we hear in our
Mm,
community, my kid's getting evicted next week. They have nowhere to go. It
right.
is so scary. And the thing I will say is we tend to get focused on that, the scary part of that. And what we sometimes forget when our kids are facing those situations is they are so amazingly resourceful.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I know your daughter was resourceful about finding ways to live when you were not supporting her. My son also got very
Yeah.
creative, and
Yeah.
you don't like to think about it because we don't like to think about our kids without a safe place to lay their head every night. But man, does it pull out their resourcefulness when they have to do that.
They're amazing. They truly are, and, it's actually, in a way, a testament to really good friendships too, because,
Yes.
I they support each other, whatever that is. That's not saying that they're looking at the parents saying, "You guys are the bad guys." They just know their friend needs help, and they're there to help them.
Yeah.
And so, yes, incredibly resourceful. So, I
Yeah.
like what you said, though, too, that we live in fear of that happening, and, as difficult as it is, think about if you were in that situation, what you would do, and then times that by 10,
Right. Right.
because that's how great our kids are at
They
finding at being
are.
resourceful.
They
Yeah.
are. They're so incredible. And we have a saying in the stream, which is strong back, soft front, capes on, let's go. And these warrior moms of the adult kids, I think they should have like a double cape with sparkles, like bedazzled to death. And they should flaunt it because there's a lot, especially with social media today and everything out there. The moms who get a lot of praise and attention are the ones who are like, I homemade cupcakes for every child in my kids', third grade class, or went and whatever. I mean, it's a little like roll your eyes sickening. And these are the moms who, what I see sometimes, especially before
Mhm,
they find us,
mhm.
is they try to make themselves smaller.
Yeah,
They become very isolated and quiet because it's so awkward and
right.
painful when even family members are like, "Oh, where's Johnny? He wasn't at
Yeah,
last Christmas either."
right, right. How's that job? How's
Mm,
the all the things, right? I mean, because truly your family member or friend may know exactly what's going on. And I think, to give them all credit too, I think just as much as we would like to give them a different response, they're expecting a different response too.
yeah,
Hopefully,
yeah,
right? Oh, that's great. Johnny still has his job or whatever, or Karen's back in school or whatever that is. So,
yeah.
it is really, really tough when you're in those situations.
Yeah, I think they just these moms and dads, we don't wanna forget about the dads because
Yeah.
holy cow, you guys go through it too. Just proudly wear that cape because
Mhm.
if people had any idea what you go through and, for 3 or 4 years, I led the Partnership to End Addiction
Mhm.
call for parents of adult kids. Wow, talk about indoctrination? Is that the word I want?
Mhm.
Indoctrination into a very difficult world. Because when I started that, my son was still in his mid-20s,
Mhm.
and so I was kind of in over my head. However, luckily, like, all of the invitation to change and the craft tools, they still work, so I wasn't out of my wheelhouse from that standpoint, but just the emotional battlefield that they were
Mhm.
navigating and the parents with kids in prison for the 4th time, or the ones, whose kiddo was homeless, living in a car in another state, addicted to fentanyl. And also, we talk about creativity and resourcefulness of the kids, but the parents too, because
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
was a mom who had, she was in one state, her son's in another state, and she had made contact with the managers of this Starbucks that was near where her son was living in his car. And she basically said, if he comes in and he's hungry, not every day, obviously, but every once in a while he would wander in there. And she said, give him a sandwich and a cup of coffee. I will pay you. And they did it.
That's
Like,
so
it
sweet.
was so beautiful. Or she would send him a pizza to his car
That's so
where
sweet.
it was
Oh, I love
parked.
that.
And
Because what
so,
it's all about is connection, right?
yes.
And
Yeah.
that's what we talk about. This is their, they can your relationship can still be one of connectivity, right? Versus you may not like what they're doing and it's not saying that you support it. They're just trying to get through life, in the way that they have coped before.
Yeah. It's
And
survival
so
mode. It's
it's survival mode.
survival
And so
mode.
I love that that mom just said, "You know what? Instead of saying, 'Oh, let him be homeless. Let him live in his car and feel that, he obviously is uncomfortable and he's also hungry.' And when
Yeah.
you're hungry and uncomfortable, are you going to maybe think, 'Today's the day I'm gonna change?' Maybe, maybe not,
Yeah.
maybe not. But
And
sending a
it's
pizza to his car is just a sign of saying, 'Hey, someone out there really cares about me and loves me, and I am worth something.'"
yes. And I
That's what it's about.
I think this is where it gets really messy with that whole term enabling because could you call that enabling? 100%. Could you call it being a loving mom and trying to stay connected and making sure that your child knows that somebody knows that they are alive, somebody knows that they matter?
Right.
100%. So
Yeah.
I think you have to be careful. And a lot of people get very judgy about all this kind of stuff. And we always just say, you know your child and you know your heart.
Yeah.
And, now if you're doing that twice a day, every day, we may want to look at that and find some other ways to
That's
stay
right.
connected.
That's right.
So I just would plea with everybody who maybe somebody's listening to this that supports, a family member or friend. Don't get judgy on them. You know, just don't. They're doing
Yeah.
the best
Just
that they
don't.
can.
Don't get
And
judgy.
there's times where, yes, maybe it is 1000% enabling. And at the same time, that is what that mom or dad needs to get through the day themselves, to know that their kid is not
Mhm.
starving, to know that they can make a phone call, whatever it is. I mean, let's not judge people for being human and being a parent and having this unconditional love for your child. If they're living in a car, addicted to fentanyl, you still love them.
You do. And I think that it's easy for people to judge in the moment and not see what that parent might be doing is creating a path forward and a
Yes.
path towards connection later. And I know I speak to this because, I would meet our daughter, where she lived, and we would drive a ways to get there and we would have a picnic. I wasn't filling her fridge with groceries or anything. I literally would just bring lunch for us and we would sit there. And, now that she's on the other side, she said that meant so much to her.
Yeah.
And, and someone could have said, "Wow, you really went out of your way to do that. Was it even worth it?" You know, she's not reciprocating, she's not doing anything. But for me, I just knew it was like what we say, it's the marathon, right? Not the sprint, that this would take some time. And it did take, several times of doing that. And at the time, when I was in it, I was thinking, is this really mattering? Is it working? Well, it did work eventually. She did say what I did was I made that bridge a little shorter for her to come across and say, "I
Yeah.
think I need some help." And several years later, to get that in a beautiful letter from her to say, "Mom, I heard you I heard all the things that you said. And when you came and did all those things with dad, that really made a difference."
Mm,
And that just, just saying that now is just don't give up on your kid, connect with
mhm,
them because hopefully one day they will be on the other side and you will hear those words too.
mhm,
And to keep the hope up, but we have to start small. We have to start with small connections and don't let the judges judge. Don't let them
yes.
into your space.
Yes. I love what you said about making that bridge a little bit shorter
Mhm.
because as we know, when they do have that inkling to ask for help, it's usually a brief period of time.
It's so short.
The window is open for a very short amount of time. And if they have to start constructing the bridge
Mhm.
from the first stone and then they have to build the supports, right? probably not gonna be able to do
Oh
that within the
gosh,
short
right.
window of time that they are in a place where they're, you know, willing to at least even discuss getting some help.
Yeah.
And that's a really important point because if we have completely 100% disconnected ourselves from them and, said, "You're on your own," that bridge is gonna take a seriously long time to rebuild, and you as the parent, and this has been proven in research, are really, at that point, the only people left who will even consider helping them because they have burned every relationship to the ground.
They've literally burned bridges.
They have
It's what
literally
they've
burned
done.
the
Right,
bridges,
right.
and, that we are the only ones as parents who even have the wherewithal to say for the 11,000th time, "Okay, let's talk about what help looks like." So that bridge, keeping the bricks in the bridge is super important. I think that I'm really glad that you said that. And, also, I wanna acknowledge that there are times where you do have to make that break, where and
Mhm,
we see this a lot
mhm.
with some very serious mental health issues
Yeah.
because a lot of times the substances that they're using today will trigger, right, an underlying mental health issue, and then you're dealing with psychosis or you're dealing with very extreme mental illnesses that are untreated, right? Because maybe they're unhoused or maybe they're even living in
Mhm.
their own place, but they're not taking medications. And it becomes too dangerous and too toxic and too chaotic to have that relationship. And so sometimes those relationships do have to be put on hold while you're maybe in the background trying to provide some kind of help or structure because that's just reality. Like, I don't wanna paint
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
sunshiny picture like, "Oh, but you can always have this really special relationship with your kid when they're in very active addiction." Sometimes that's not possible. And talk about additional heartbreak, right? It's one thing to, like,
Oh, it's so
your kid's
tough.
struggling, but you're using craft and you're doing all these things and you're in a position where you can have a relationship like you did with your daughter, like I did with my son, even when he was very actively using. And there are gonna be some times when that's not the case, and so that's just an additional layer of heartbreak. And we've also seen those relationships come back.
That's right.
So
That's right.
maybe medication was something that helped, or they found the right resource and they were able to get some help. And it could be years later that that reconnection happens with the parents or a sibling or whoever it is. And so it's a long game. Like,
It is a long game, and
prepare for the long game.
it's a long game and why we call them warriors, right? And so and I love what you said there. For sure, safety is the number one priority
Yep.
here.
Yep. Absolutely.
Absolutely. For you, for your child, all around.
Yep.
And just know too that, y- that relationship may not be there right now the way you want it, but that's okay. Maybe that's just the universe also saying, hey, let's spend some time focusing on your own self care so that you can kind of build yourself, build those reserves again and be ready, right? And
Yeah.
so, because the mental health aspect, oh boy,
Mm.
and we're seeing so much of that right now with the high potency THC products, and it's a lot.
It's a
It's a lot
lot.
for what we're seeing. The mental health aspect seems to be overshadowing almost some of the hardcore substance, use that we used to see that was a little more common, I guess.
Yeah. And I think too that it could be a little bit like, there's other things that have now just become more diagnosed. And so it looks like there's this huge increase. I almost wonder if some of this is that 10 years ago just saw the substance use and really focused on that. And now what the treatment programs and therapists and
Mhm.
everybody are seeing is, okay, yes, we have the substance use, and it's really the result of this underlying thing. And so, I think there might be a little bit of that too, but,
Mhm,
you and I talk
mhm.
to people in the treatment world every day, and we hear this consistently. We are seeing more kids with anxiety, with depression, with, schizophrenia or some of these, bipolar, and we are not doctors or therapists, friends. We are neither of those, but we talk to a lot of them. So what we hear from the folks who are doctors and therapists and have years and years and years of training in this is that sometimes in some folks, the substance use is what is the trigger, right? So
Mhm.
when you pull that trigger, you never know. In some kids, nothing. Like they don't even
That's
become
right.
addicted. In other kids, maybe there's some dependence and there's addiction. And then in other kids, and again, when we say kids, could be 25, 27 years old, it could be, it could really trigger that psychosis, schizophrenia, those kinds of things that they're they're not going to reverse. I asked a physician recently about that.
Yes.
I said, "Oh, is the jury still out on, whether the psychosis will reverse?" And he was like, "Nope, the jury is not still out. Like
Mm,
it can be
it's
medicated,
heartbreaking.
it can be treated, but it's not going to reverse." And so all of that to say, it's a lot to deal with, and we're just here to acknowledge those of you who are
Yeah.
in this very exclusive club. And we don't want to forget about some of the, um, I would say, like unexpected growth spurts that can
Mm,
happen with this that, a lot of us have experienced. Not in the way that we wanted. We didn't necessarily want to learn our lessons through the fire that we've been thrown into. However, what we see, and I think what we've experienced, is an ability to have incredible compassion for not just folks who are dealing with mental health and substance use issues, but just compassion in general in the
mhm.
world because it it sort of this going through this just exposes a completely new layer of your heart and your soul that you
It really
never
does.
knew existed.
It really does. And, it's so funny just when you said that, I when I look at, you know, some of the unhoused folks in my neighborhood, my city, my first thought when I look at them is, "Oh, that's someone's child." And before I used to think, "Oh, they're begging again," or whatever, and, I
Mhm.
mean, I always had compassion, but, it's a whole new layer, and I just there's a part of me that wants to go up to every single one and say, "Do you wanna use my phone to call your mom?"
I know.
Because I just think, but also the growth I wanna say too, when you brought that up, I love that you brought that up, Brenda, is that the growth that our moms go through in terms of, they may have felt like, "Oh, I was never really great at boundaries," and when they go through all of this and they're put through the ringer again and again, all of a sudden they become these amazing boundary holders or whatever,
Boundary
and I don't
boss.
they're boundary bosses. I don't know if they're just exhausted
Yeah.
or what it is exactly, but all of a sudden, you talk about trigger, like a flip switches,
Yes.
and I know that happened for me, and it was like, "I'm just done. I'm done, and this is the line. This is not gonna move right here. This is what it is." And the great thing is that goes across all areas of your life, not just with your child, with friends, family, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing that growth to see our warrior moms and dads go through that. It's pretty spectacular and so cool to watch.
It totally is. And kind of along those same lines is, uh, there's this sort of for for those of you women who are listening who are in sort of the menopausal stage, there's this thing called the Don't Care Club.
Oh, I've
And
seen that.
many of us have joined the Don't Care Club, which can
That's
mean
right.
anything from wearing comfortable shoes, AKA Birkenstock addiction, um, to lots of different things. And I think that going through this experience, especially for the warrior moms and dads who have been in this 10 plus years, you are also in a different version of the Don't Care Club, which is it's so freeing to not be wrapped up and caught up in these superficial things in the world
Mhm.
that get people all riled up and they get all, on their high horse or, even something as dumb as sitting in traffic. It's like, I don't
Yeah.
care. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think you and I are very similar in that it takes a lot to get us riled up. Now, you try to mess with one of our mamas,
Yeah.
that is gonna get us riled up.
That gets me riled up.
That will get us riled. Or
That
our
gets me
kids, right?
I'm still a huge mama bear when it comes to our kids. I thought, "Oh, heck no, you are not."
No, I shared an Instagram thing with you the other day of a we gotta find that picture, and I'm gonna try to add it in here in the YouTube video. If you're not watching us on YouTube, by the way, you are missing.
Yeah. You are missing out.
Um, but I sent you this picture of this bird that the mama bird had this almost like an umbrella, her wings made like an umbrella,
Yeah.
and
Her
underneath her
wingspan over her little ones. Yeah.
and I was like,
Yeah.
"This is us with our moms." So that will get us riled up, like anybody, dealing with our kids and mistreating them or making
Yeah.
assumptions about mental health or making assumptions about substance use, we will absolutely get riled up. Other than that, I don't know, not a lot.
Not a lot. It's true.
It's just so freeing, and so that's another benefit. If you're looking for benefits of being in this club, I would say that is one, and then also if you're, in our community, or if you have a great Al-Anon group, or if you have a great Smart Recovery family group, or whatever kind of group, you have probably realized that there is an incredibly special bond between
Oh,
parents who've been through this, like no other. It is so beautiful and
it is
so
so
healing.
cool. The
Yeah.
friends that you make that you never thought, I mean, really, we all come from such different backgrounds, some obviously, right? I mean, just all over the world, different backgrounds, but it's so, so beautiful to have relationships with people because we all have that lived experience. We know what it's like. And it just feels so good to connect with someone who just gets you like nobody does
Instantly. Like, our
instantly.
retreats are so fun because we have all these moms who've never met each other in person. We're all
Yeah.
in these little Zoom boxes from every walk of life, every professional, everything, every education level, everything. And you get together in real life, and it is like you have known each other forever. You're sisters.
Yeah.
There's zero small talk. Like, nobody is talking about the weather. It is just real and honest and raw. And, we had the most beautiful thing happen this week in the stream. We had a mama who's definitely a warrior mom, and her kiddo was needing to go to the hospital. There was a lot of stuff going on, um, which going to hospitals is a very
Oh
common
my
thing for
gosh.
these. And she posted in the chat section of her subgroup for warrior moms, um, he's on his way to the hospital. I'm not there. Could people just send up prayers or positive thoughts? And like the whole chat just went bananas. Like it was like 25, I don't know, 30 different people instantly. Like, we got you with
Yeah.
prayers going up or positive thoughts going up. And it was so great to see that because you gotta have that,
It
you
was
know?
it was absolutely beautiful, and what I loved about that whole chat sequence is people pointing out some real positives that were happening there in a
Mhm.
felt like a really negative situation. I mean,
Mhm.
she shared a lot of details around that, and, and I think people could feel exactly where she was and also say, "Hey, this is a great positive here, and look what you did," and,
Yeah.
yes, support and prayers, all the things, right? It was such well, that's the stream.
Yeah.
That's
That's what it's
That's
for.
exactly I wouldn't expect anything less, from the community, and it was really beautiful, so I just love that, yeah. It
I
was
know.
really, really special, and I'm kinda thinking that might have been done I don't know if that was in a retreat chat or something because you
I think
talked
it
about
was in the
retreats,
retreat chat. It
and
was.
so, yeah, I mean, that just shows you too that, you go on retreats and you bond with all these women, and then, you get to keep on having these group chats with just that group. It's very, very special,
Yeah.
to have that. So, anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
love that.
It's like having a group text on your phone where you
Yeah,
just stay in touch with the same people year after year after year. It's very cool.
that's right,
Um,
that's right.
I think the warrior moms that I see doing the best, because we do have some who are just rocking it, they still
Mhm.
have all kinds of struggles, but the ones that do the best, I would say, are the ones who, number one, take care of themselves. I
Mhm.
mean, we are a literal broken record, and we will continue to be a broken record on this. They take care of themselves. They do not set aside their life, their body, their wellness just to obsess on their child. And I think time a little bit helps with this because you can only sacrifice yourself for so long. So if you have a 15 or
Yeah,
16-year-old, you are in like high functioning mode, like you are still going. But if you've been at that for 10
right,
years, you've gotten to the point where you are probably saying like, whoa, I got to have some balance here. And I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to have my hobbies. I'm going to do my things. Doesn't mean I love my kid any less. Doesn't mean I'm still not going to worry about them. But I'm not going to hand over my life, my one precious life, to them and their craziness
right.
and all the madness that goes along with that. I'm not going to do it.
And by the way, if you're not saying that, your brain is not telling you, your body will be telling you because that
Mhm.
happened to you and I, as you know, that physically our bodies just
Yeah.
gave out. And at
Yeah.
one point, we were both saying to our bodies, okay, uncle, I get it. I got to stop the crazy somehow. And then you start to feel a little better and you think, well, okay, there is something to this. I mean, our lovely Janice, who we adore, and I know I'm shouting out Janice because she's amazing. She sits on our board and she's an amazing warrior mom in our group. And Janice said, like, she would hear us all the time yammering about self care, self care. And then she thought, there is something here because she started to do it. And it really made a difference.
I
And
know.
so, anyway, I love
And it's hard.
it is hard.
And
We're
it's
not saying
hard.
it's easy.
No, you just
No,
start
we're not
small.
saying it's easy. Yeah.
Start with something small.
Just breathe. Just breathe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always tell people what do I do? Just take 5 minutes and do several deep breaths. You don't even have to follow a script of how many breaths, box breaths, whatever it is. Just breathe, make them deep, and try to see did that help you right there?
Yeah.
And usually it will, and you're just gonna keep doing that, and that's your starting small point,
That
you
is
know?
your starting small. Walk around the block, drink
Yeah,
some water, have
yeah,
some real food. Those are the basics and they do help.
they do help.
What else do you see as far as like a trait or a trend in the warrior moms who are doing well despite everything that's going on?
You know, they have a really great spiritual practice, whatever that is.
Yeah.
I see that. I mean, that whether you believe in God or Buddha or whatever your religious preference or no religious preference is, whether it's meditation. When I say spirituality, I mean you're just connecting on some deep level to something. And that could be yoga that you're getting that through or meditation or prayer. And I see that in a lot of these moms. I think that they're able to actually take that time and connect to their inner self and,
Mhm.
to something greater than them, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
that's really a beautiful thing to see. And I know
Yeah.
from experience that happened in my journey too. I never would have thought how deep my connection spirituality, my spiritual connection would be. It was really amazing.
Yeah, I think that also having that higher power, whatever that
Mhm,
is to you, helps with being able to hand some of it over. Because by
mhm.
this point, 10, 15 years in, you have realized, oh, I can't control this. This is not under my control.
Yeah.
And to be able to sleep at night, I even have a meditation on Insight Timer about this. I'll put a link in the show notes to it. It's called I should really know what that meditation is called. Oh, the meditation is called A Gift of Sleep for
Mm,
parents of kids
okay.
who are struggling with addiction. And it's all about being able to say, okay, my shift is over. To my best of my ability, I've done what I can. Tonight, I need to sleep because sleep is probably the most underrated tool for navigating
Mm,
all this madness. You have to sleep. You really have to sleep. And it's so hard. I know because you're worried. And at night, everything gets worse in your brain. So being able to hand that shift over to your higher power and say, I know you've got this for the next however many hours. I'll pick it up tomorrow and I'll do my best
right.
again. So I agree, having a higher power, something bigger that you can look at and say, okay, I know that something larger than just what I'm seeing here in my little orbit is working and conspiring for good. I think that's hugely important,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I also think a very underrated and very non-intuitive way to navigate this is to be in service to other people,
Oh, yeah.
which sounds crazy because you're like, I am already so stressed out. I've got this huge thing, negative thing in my life. And we have seen it over and over that if you can even carve out 1 hour a month and help someone else, I would say stay away from like situations of maybe feeding homeless people or, addiction related, just because you're already in that soup. Like, get out of that soup and get
Yeah.
into
We're
like,
not
go,
saying that that's not a good thing. It's just for
no,
you right now, try to do something of service, you
yeah,
know,
go rock
where
babies at
yeah, yeah.
the
Or foster
nursery,
dogs like I do. Like that's so
foster
fun.
dogs.
Or foster
Or, you know
kittens.
what? There is something, okay, here's one that is adjacent to addiction that would be very good. There is an organization, I will look it up and I'll put it in the show notes because I don't know it now, that actually you can foster a dog while somebody is in treatment. Because one of the main
Oh, I love
reasons that
that.
people will not go to treatment, especially if they're living on the streets and they have an animal, that is their only thing, right? Their only friend.
Right?
Even people who are not in that situation, having a pet is a very big barrier to going into treatment. So there is an organization where you can volunteer to have their pet for the 60, 90 days, whatever it is, so that they know that their animal is being loved and taken care of, and then they can go love and take care of themselves. So that would be a good
Yeah.
one.
I
But
love that. There are so many, as we know, just being in the nonprofit world, there are so many amazing things.
yeah.
And so, the gift to yourself would be look online, see what really just speaks to you, and just spend an hour of service. I have
Yeah.
a friend that actually, does these little care packages for women who have breast cancer and they do earrings. And I
Hmm.
should find out what that is. You can put that in the show notes. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's really amazing. So uh, so many great things out there.
Yeah. It sounds weird. We would just say try it. Just try it.
Just try
Try
it.
spending an hour. The only reason I said that about not potentially doing something where you're working in addiction or homelessness is I, for a while, was going with my husband and we were working at a, soup kitchen, which sounds like a very outdated term, but I don't know what else to call it. But we
Mhm.
literally were like serving lunch to homeless people in downtown Seattle, which was quite the experience. It's a whole nother podcast episode. But I felt good when we got done, and I also felt almost even more heartbroken because
Mm.
we
Mhm.
would see the same people every single week, and you just wow, it was just a lot for somebody who's especially if you're a highly sensitive person like me, and you feel the world at a 20 versus a 10, just, like, being that close to such struggle and such hopelessness was a little bit more than I think I needed. I should have done the, like, labradoodle. "Alright, well, warrior moms and dads, this one's for you. We
We
just
see
wanted to
you.
give you a shout out."
Yeah, we
Oh,
really I know sometimes you probably feel forgotten about, but you're not. And, we see you and we're here for you. And,
mhm.
if it's just, it is, you're really heroes. You're
Yeah.
heroes to us because you've been on this road a long ways. And anyway,
Chin up, right? Like,
chin up.
don't shrink yourself. Don't be embarrassed. Just, I think, hold your head with pride that you have endured this long,
Mhm.
that you are still in the game, that you are taking care of yourself, you're connected. If you're not connected, please get connected. That is one of the biggest game changers,
Yeah.
in not feeling so alone in this. And, if you're in our community, if you're in the stream, reach out to another warrior mom this week. I know we just had a call yesterday, but
Yeah.
reach out. Y'all are in the same group there in the little subgroup. You can just chat with each other. Just say, hey, I, we're still all,
You could say, "Hey, I'm so tired.
I'm so
I'm
tired. I'm
so
so tired.
tired.
And
I need to
also,
eat better. I need to drink water."
yeah, just to have that
Yeah.
moment of being seen and being heard, being respected. I mean, so much respect to
Yeah.
you if you're one of these beautiful, beautiful humans. We love you.
Yeah. We love you. This is for you.
All right. We'll see you next time, Kathy.
See you later, Brenda. Bye.
Bye.